We're just going to spend a couple of minutes here looking at the Mercy Flight mobile clinical simulation system here. This is kind of neat. This is what they use for training. So this is a simulation here, simulation for various things. So they can bring EMTs here, folks that are in the flight services, and teach them specific things, help them better their skills. We'll go into this section. This is basically a mock-up of what it's like inside the helicopter. So this is pretty much the same size and space, including headroom, of what you would have if you're operating in a flight condition.
Can I close this down?
Sure.
It's our attic. That's what we call it.
So can you tell me a little bit about that over there?
What's that?
This area over here?
This is kind of the command and control center. So right here is where we can control all the mannequins in the back. And then we have audio, video, able to see everything that's happening, either inside the hospital room, as we refer to it as, or inside the aircraft room. So we can allow the simulation just to kind of unfold as it would naturally unfold, and then allow the teaching moments to happen after.
What kind of simulations are you limited to here?
Wow. Now, I mean, we do a lot of hospital transfers, so we can always start in the hospital room and then we transition into the aircraft. So if we were normally moving the patient. And then the other thing we can do is we can start, as a scene, over in a field on the side of the road, so to say, and then also transition inside the aircraft. So there's not a lot that we're limited to. It's really, at this point, just what our imagination limits us to in terms of what we do.
Right. So can you set up specific scenarios here for your technicians?
Yeah, absolutely. So the GoMart system that we use, for some reason it says pacing there, but the GoMart's system that we use allows us to be able to set anything that we need to set. So in this case, this is for Tori, the infant that's inside there. We can make her blue, we can make her jaundiced, we can set her respiratory rate, we can make her cry, as you probably saw, she's moving inside there. And then with our HAL in the back, again, everything from hemodynamics to physical presentation. He does do some talking, so there's not much that we can't do with high fidelity mannequins.
So and you call them high fidelity mannequins.
Yes.
And is this like is this newer tech or is it older tech or?
I would say it's technology that's been developed over the past 10 years. There's always more fancy mannequins coming on the market, but what we found in our education department is that it's not always how fancy your mannequin is, it's how real you make the scenario.
I see.
Sounds, descriptions, family members, etc. Making it feel like you're in the actual environment.
Interesting. And so as far as feedback to the folks that are running through a simulation, as far as EMS folks, how does that feedback take place after an experience?
After a simulation. So when you're doing a simulation, the learning is not taking place other than maybe some psychomotor skills as you're doing it. So, some reps and practice of skills. The learning comes in the debriefing. So debriefing happens after every simulation where we spend time and we look at our objectives and what we were trying to accomplish during that simulation. And then we talk about those objectives, say, hey, what did you think of this? I saw you do this. I thought maybe this would be a better way to do it. What are your thoughts? And then we kind of take what their thinking is, what we saw, and our objectives, mix them together, and then create the learning point. So
Nice.
So a real learning in simulation comes during debriefing. It does not come during the actual simulation, other than practicing skills, practicing intubation, and getting reps with psychomotor skills. But the actual learning comes during there. So and what we'll do is after is we'll come back and say, hey, I noticed when you were doing XYZ skill, and then we'll have them repeat the skill if we need to have them repeat the skill.
So you could start a patient down a specific path,
Yep.
and then insert something else that happens on top of that, or not really? In other words, a patient that's in an automobile accident that might have some other medical issue that isn't necessarily related to that, but is
We can build the scenarios
like a stroke on top of an automobile accident.
Yeah. And we'll do that. We will build skills based on presentations that patients have had. So someone might come to me and be like, hey, we had a really good scenario. We think it'd be really good for simulation. We'll build that into learning objectives and make that one of the simulations. And ironically, we've had just the opposite. We've just fabricated a scenario, and then a couple weeks later, our crew will come and be like, you will not believe what just happened. I just had your scenario.
That's amazing.
So it's really interesting that it's kind of gone both ways, that we've taken ones that we've had that we thought were really good learning opportunities, and we fabricated some that have turned into actual scenarios. But yeah, no, it's
really
it's
nice.
great and to be able to have this space, to have the fact that this was built with grants from Rochester Regional, some other foundations.
Are there other EMS services like you have this kind of training equipment?
I mean, I haven't seen any. So there may be some that exist. So, but
this is pretty new for you then.
This is day 2 of it actually.
Oh.
Night of Flight was our unveiling of it, and today was bringing it out into the EMS community. So
this is really great.
So
and you bought it all assembled. You didn't have to do any work, did you?
Oh yeah, I wish. I'd be lying if I didn't say that our clinicians there are many clinicians that have blood, sweat, and tears in this, putting it together. So
this is really great.
Part of it was assembled, but yeah, I mean, you can't go and buy an AW119 interior for the inside of a cargo trailer. You have to build that from scratch, and that's what we did.
And this is like size-wise the same.
It's almost identical. The only thing that is really difficult to replicate is some of the curves that are
I got you. Yes.
Inside a typical airframe. So we did have to go with boxy walls. And the only other difference is the ceiling is about 4 inches higher than it is, because it would make it almost impossible to get into. Because in the aircraft, you actually climb up inside.
But lengthwise,
identical,
it's the same.
And widthwise. Other than, again, some of the curves, it's almost identical. And then once we get it back, there's 2 other modifications that are going to happen to this interior. The speaker system will be finished. You can see a subwoofer down over there. So that will be finished along with some air vents in the ceiling, because it does get kind of warm inside there when you're working.
So,
and then we'll have helmet communications inside.
Right. Oh, I see.
So that you're working in your helmet. You have the environment of being in a helicopter, and I kid you not, that subwoofer will shake the seat you're sitting in and feel like rotor blades.
So when you do a simulation in here for this helicopter process, I mean, will they last a full flight, 20 minutes to someplace, or?
No, they last as long as it takes to get the learning objectives done.
Mm-hmm.
So we do fast forward time just as you would in any scenario. So we fast forward time a little bit where it's appropriate, but we're not going to stop short of those learning objectives. So we do stay true to those. So yeah, so I mean, just like on an EMS call, there are times where you're sitting on your hands, just kind of like, okay, next red light, let's move along here. We will fast forward to that.
So when is the initial use of this in a real training scenario going to be? Do you have any idea yet?
So we do quarterly skills. So every quarter we do quarterly simulation and we practice very specific skills every 3 months.
So you'll be doing this in the next 3 months. November.
Yeah. So end of October, beginning of November is when fourth quarter skills rolls out, and this will be on the road.
So when you purchased the trailer itself, what was it? An empty shell, basically?
So it was white walls with some of the electrical installed, and this was 2x4 studs on the inside. So that's it. So everything else that you see in here was.
And this was done by you folks at your headquarters in Canandaigua, or?
Yep. Yeah.
With internal folks? Did you bring anybody else in?
The only external part was the wrap on the outside.
No kidding.
Everything else was done internally.
By Mercy Flight personnel.
By Mercy Flight personnel.
Wow.
Yeah. We're very dedicated to education. We're very dedicated to providing that really high level of care. And this will also allow us to bring that education out to the community.
Absolutely.
So
to towns,
EMS
fire departments, any kind of activity that's out there.
We could roll up and do a CPR class and then roll it
That
into
is
the back
great.
here to where we're doing things in the back.
Yeah.
And you got vital signs. So we can do multiple iterations, multiple generations of education. And yeah, this is fun. So, take it to a community fair and people get to see what it's like to
work in a helicopter.
Work in a helicopter. Once we get the sound effects rolling in there, I guarantee you people will love being in there and feel like they're in the helicopter.
That's nice. Really,
so yeah,
really
so it's
good.
just a matter of your imagination is what holds you.
Yeah. Very neat. Thank you so much for your tour here.
No problem.
And I'm just going to take a look at the outside. What size is this?
It's 22 foot plus the V nose. So I think everybody always has 2-foot-itis and would always like something a little bit bigger. But in terms of being able to easily tow,
I
it
got
also
you.
has a retractable awning, so we take
Oh,
it to the
nice.
we're able to
I think I saw that out
set up
before.
tables. Yeah, because when you checked in, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, when you checked in, our check-in was right underneath it. And it's heated and cooled as well.
So winter use, 4 seasons.
4 seasons. I gotta get back inside.
Okay.
Start.
All right.
Sorry to run.
No, I got to go.